there's tricks. If you're spending that time on yourself, that's what's going to speak for you. Some people think they got to go out and talk a big game or to get themselves to be, you know, somebody special. It's like, it's up to other people to talk a big game about you. What you do and what you create, that's talking a big game. Just be the game, you know what I mean? Be the product. That's what I do with enemies. You want to take over?
Oh, me? Hey, so tired of my voice, I'm sure.
Well, tell me where you want to go with it. So.
Okay. So, again, it's just really important that we connect with professional folks who are doing and living the work that we aspire to do. So that's the reason why Jellybean has been here every single time that we've done these, right? He's like a rock for the program. So it's a golden opportunity to ask questions, right? Like I said, this is not school, but if you want to be the best and at the top of anything, you have to talk to the people who are doing it. So I would say ask them some questions. What was it like, you know, when you were their age, and you know, who were the drummers that you looked up to, and who kind of like gave you that inspiration? And like, man, I looked
up to Jellybean.
Yeah, I really was too. Yeah.
I'm older than that. I was really, honestly, one of the greatest players. And then it just exploded on guitar, so it's like, okay, thanks, pal.
Right.
But
was there a drummer that you kind of looked up to, who kind of lit the fire for you?
You know, like probably everybody in this room, something jumped off, whatever format. If you were listening, all of a sudden you heard something going, oh man, is that saying it the way I want to be told musically? I started, you know, all my friends were rockers, and we started listening to, and these are old bands, you guys. I'm an old guy. But,
they're pretty sharp. Alex has an AC/DC shirt on.
That's right.
So he knows.
Well, I mean, the guys that really started to show up for me were like, the first time I saw Buddy Rich play jazz, I was like, he's got 4 hands. There's no way. There's no way he's doing that. And then I started listening to rock and roll stuff, and I heard there were guys that were really impressed with the hand stuff, and then I was one of those people where I was looking for the heartbeat. That's all I cared about. I would sit and I would work on 2 and 4, and I would vary where I'd put the snare drum and when I'd be leaning on it harder here, laying back here, and I would listen to all these different drummers, and man, these old records, it was all, you know, rock and soul and stuff was in my house naturally. So, I mean, I'd be listening to, you know, Led Zeppelin. I'd be listening to John Bonham, and he would have this big, huge 2 and 4 coming off these songs that were like, I don't care what everybody else is doing. That feels so good. And then, you know, you listen to there's Barry White records. I mean, James Gadsden. These drummers that know how to make the rest of the band sound so good, you know. And it's an art. It's a real art. It's like, if you notice the drummer in some of this stuff, then he was messing up. You know what I mean? It was like, no, it's a supporting role. It really is. So if you know, people that perfect a lot of the riffs and stuff like that, that's like maybe 3% of what we do. Yeah. The rest of the 97% is like, okay, I'm gonna be the guy, I'm gonna be solid on this. This guy's gonna tear it up. And the audience goes nuts, and they're really digging the guy. So if you really love attention, I don't know, drums might not be your thing.
Might not be your thing, might not be your bag.
Yeah. But I mean, if you like to be involved and really be the guy that you know, hey, I just blocked and made sure that guy could run a touchdown.
Yeah.
You know, I like supporting roles. I'm that kind of personality. But there's other things to do as a result of that. Musically, you learn something, then you learn something from somebody else, and you start to think that way, and all of a sudden you're producing records, and it's like, I know exactly what to do. I've been doing it my whole life. I've been listening to other guys, and I mean, it's weird. The first record I mixed, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna mix it like it sounds to me. The bass is gonna be over here. Guitar player's gonna be slightly to the right. You know what I mean? So I mixed it like we were all on stage together.
Okay.
And you know how guys know how to pan on a recording. You know what I mean?
Panning
Like that.
when it goes from
Panning and
this side to
EQ. So, you know, there's this scope in mixing, and then there's this scope in mixing. This is frequencies, right? This is low to high frequencies, and then this is left to right stereo. So everything's, you know, you're basically Picasso, you know, putting little spots in certain areas, and it's like, wow, there's this, now I've got this real vision.
How many of you have taken algebra trig? Same concept.
Right.
You know, X, Y axis. If I point, if I put this here and there, and I do it at a certain time and at a certain speed and with a certain intensity, I'm going to create a certain feeling in the listener.
The third dimension is depth.
Depth.
And depth is now volume. What, you know, how far into the mix do I have to learn to, or lean to hear the clave? Or because, you know, or you know, something, wow, it's like there's an echo in there somewhere. I hear it, I can feel it almost to where it's like you got this three-dimensional thing. If you start thinking of it in terms of art, then you're on a path. Then you're really on a path. If you start to think about, well, how cool will everybody think if I do this? It's like,
You're going to lose.
yeah, it's not about that. Like, talking game is fine, but if what you're doing is talking for you, you're getting somewhere while you sleep. I mean, seriously, you got a product out there. I mean, what time is it when any artist got discovered, and what were they doing? You know, if they went in and did their product, I mean, Prince worked constant. And it wasn't like he had this, okay, I know where this is going. Here, next, the vault. I mean, how much stuff was down there?
Right.
So it's like, just be a source of great inspirational energy, but don't, you know, the one thing I got messed up on my first project is I was waiting for somebody to like it.
Okay. You just need to like it, right?
You're done. You just had a child, right? You just gave birth to something. You're done. Now just make sure it's okay. You know, and sitting there for other people to see and it's behaving well. That's it. You know what I mean? That's it.
Lisa, did you have something to add?
No, I was just saying on that note about just putting it out there and then moving to the next thing. Naya came over to me just a couple seconds ago, and I was thinking it was like, you know, something happened. And she said, I have an idea, it's in my head, it won't go away. Can I step out for 1 second so I can record it so I don't forget it? I mean, hello.
That's
yes.
what
I'm
it's about.
Go, child, go!
Yeah.
Go, be with the song that's coming through
The
you.
first week they were just asking when they could go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Hey, it comes at any moment, you know, you gotta go with it.
That's truly what it's about. It really is. Because you cannot force inspiration. You can work your butt off and finesse an idea. I've written songs that have taken 2 years, and then I've written songs that have taken like 15 minutes. And honestly, the ones that just come in and out of you, you swear. It's like, thank you. Thank you, Lord. I mean, you know, whatever your beliefs are, it's just like it channels.
Yep.
And those are the ones that they feel like they're done like when you start.
Let me ask you this as a producer, how intimately are you involved with the artist in terms of having their vision sort of come to life? Do you just, like, how do you guide that so that the artist stays true to what they wrote, but at the same time you're getting the best performance out of them and you're getting the best product, as you say? How do you finesse that?
It's
Yeah.
honest to God, it's a la carte. It's
Okay.
like, if you're not paying attention to who that guy is, if I'm trying to slam, say you're the artist, and I'm trying to slam you into something that I do well or I believe in, and I'm not paying attention to the energy coming from you, that's me. That's my mistake. So I have to listen, and then when I do hear, there's a not a refined pathway here. You know what I mean? I do have to say, I think that song belongs on a different record. You try to find really great ways to say bad idea. You know?
Yeah. That's really, yeah.
So it's like, hey, I love what you did. We're gonna do it again. See what I did there?
Yeah. I love what you did. We're gonna do it again. This time, let's try it this way.
I didn't have to tell him it wasn't right, because that's a negative.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to keep it here or higher.
Yeah.
When it gets down here, it's time for lunch. Yeah, or it's time to come back another day.
And you know what? You all have been doing that to each other. I've noticed this. You do that kind of naturally. I haven't seen anybody tear anybody's idea down, but I have heard people say, you might want to think about doing it this way, or speed it up here, or do it. You know, that is being an adult. That's being kind. Just because you're good at something, you don't have to talk down on somebody else's thing. Never. So that same energy that you kept here, please take that on as you grow up. Like, you don't have to diss anybody's stuff if you think it's bad. A real adult, a real human will say, why don't you try it like this? Now, if they say, I don't want to try it like this, then you've done your job and you move on, right? But I noticed that you all have that natural quality. Please don't lose that. It's always cool to be kind to somebody, even if you don't dig what they're about. So if you didn't get any lessons about music or anything from this 2 weeks, take that with you, at least. I want to talk to Jellybean and both of you, because we're in a unique position where we have folks who are musicians and producers. Jellybean has worked on some iconic tracks, y'all. Like, yeah, I mean, so Jellybean, tell us a little bit about your process as a producer. Like, what does that mean to you versus being a musician?
Well, one thing I learned from being a producer is, first of all, you got a bunch of hats on.
Okay.
You know, and it's important that the artist trusts you and believe in what you're trying to do. You know?
Now, Jellybean, you worked with Janet Jackson. Y'all heard of her?
Yeah. Janet was another thing. You know, I had to gain her trust.
Yeah.
You know?
How did you do that? Because she's known as like a timid person.
Well,
her brother's a superstar. How did you do that?
Well, trust me, it was hard because I didn't know. You know, I didn't know if she would accept me like that because she didn't have to. You know, yeah, I mean, there have been guys before me that had done. You know, Jesse Johnson did it before me, Jimmy or Terry. So, but it was cool. I got to hang out with her, which helped even more. I got to, hang out and have dinner and get to know what she liked and all that kind of stuff. And that helped it. And then on the Control record, I just played guitar solos and stuff. I didn't really produce her, but I was in there with Terry and Jimmy and watching, her interact. It also helps if the producer, if the artist likes you. Okay. Or if you don't, you're gonna have some problems.
Right. So, in your opinion, both of you, Joey and Jellybean, so like, say for example, you get the opportunity to work with Quincy Jones, but you and Quincy Jones don't really click. Your personalities don't match. Is it better for the artist to say, I know you're Quincy Jones, I respect you, this is not going to work, or do you kind of push through that because that's Quincy Jones? What are your thoughts on that?
It depends, You got it, like I said, once again, you got to gain their trust. You got to do something. And who knows what that might be, Because you got to realize when you're dealing with artists, they're iconic, and they got their different things they like and different things they don't like. Some of them, Janet's really shy, so she's not going to tell you she don't like yours. So she'll be cordial and all that, but the problem with that is then you won't get what you need. So you got to get through that. And the Jacksons as a whole, if you think about all of them, when you hear the interviews, they all shy, their little voice and all that stuff.
So that's true. That's real. They really like that.
They really like that, and that's what I had to realize. I had to realize when she was talking to me like that, I had to realize, okay, I got to get through this. I cut through this, and they warm up to you more. You're around them. First of all, it's hard to be around them like that in the first place. So you're privileged to be with them like that, and you get to know them and stuff, and they warm up to you. Then it's easier to get something done in the studio. It was a trip, man.
That's just a trip to me because when we see them on stage, they're all,
yeah.
That's Janet Jackson.
Well, I'll give you a prime example. I was doing Black Cat. You know, me and her was in the studio doing Black Cat, and I had a girlfriend at the time and stuff, and she was at studio, and she was used to being at studio. You're right, you know, and I had her at studio, dump me, there with Janet. And so, you know, we started doing some takes, and it wasn't happening. And so Janet's fiance at the time came up to me and said, "Dean, let me holler at you." I said, "Okay." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Bruh, you're not gonna get nothing done as long as your girl is here with Janet." You know, and I didn't, you know, I was thinking that, you know, because by this time we were friends now, because now we're in the second record. We're in the Elimination now. So I'm thinking, oh, you know, Janet, no. So of course I had to ask my girl to leave and go back to the house. Now, anybody who got a girl know that, you know, she's salty, but this is Janet Jackson. You gotta get your ass out of here. You gotta go home, girl. So, and then once she left, the magic, you know, and not only her, we had to kick everybody out of flight time. You know, Janet really didn't want nobody there with me and her.
Wow.
And so that includes Terry and Jimmy's ass. They had to go too. So we kicked everybody out of flight time, and just us, her, and an engineer, and we cut it.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Kamora.
Have you ever gotten through like a creative block? How do you guys get through that? Like, I don't know. Sometimes I just can't like touch. the
Yeah.
instrument 'cause there's nothing
It happens.
there.
It's happened like kind of like what Joe said, and you know, sometimes it's better to leave it and go back, go do something else. You know, you're young. You know, any other interests you got, go do that for a while. Or, you know, get into other aspects of life, and then come back to it. And then, you know, maybe some of them aspects of life might trigger something that you need, you know, that was blocking you before. You might have a thing that you did, or a person, a girlfriend that you talked to, and she said something, you go, oh, that's what I was looking for. So then you get done with her, you finish that interaction, and then you come back. And now all of a sudden you have some fodder for that block. See what I'm saying?
The one thing about creative blocks is they're actually, this is gonna sound so backwards, they can be inspiring.
Yeah.
Now, an example, sometimes I use other art forms to expose something about the music business, acting. There's a great story about an actor named Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman did a movie called Rain Man. And he was talking about the whole shooting in the movie, and it ended up to where there was this one scene where the producer said, okay, well, we gotta do the water scene now, or the fire scene now. We gotta do that. And he's like, I don't wanna do that.
Yeah.
I don't wanna do that. I'm not ready for that. I don't wanna do it. And he had all this energy about it. So days would go by, and finally it was the only thing left. And he's just like, look, we have to do it. I'm sorry, you know, and this guy's Dustin Hoffman, he's a big deal.
Yeah.
So they go to shoot it, and he was so upset that they had to do it, that he channeled his upset about doing it into the acting, which was the greatest scene in the movie. So, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could write about not feeling creative.
Yeah.
What happens there? Don't know. You know, inspire yourself with your uninspired self.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's crazy, but true.
I love that. Well, we haven't had that problem these past couple
Yeah.
weeks.
We wrote 9 songs.
Y'all good, and y'all lucky.
Nine
Yeah, the ideas have been coming just left and right.
It's great to be young.
Right? I want you all to talk a little bit about the music that we are going to work on today. So, Kamora, you came up with that lick, the guitar lick, and it eventually
Started from there.
grew into the song Immortal, which we're going to record today. So, Natalie and Kamora, why don't you talk a little bit about that process? Because really what happened was, I put 5 of you guys in a room with a drum and a guitar. I came back 2-3 hours later, and they had this. So what was that? Talk us through that.
I'm not really good at lyrics, but I do like listening to music. So what I think that we started to do, I started playing random chords. And like Noah and Natalie and some other people around here were pretty good at music or writing words. So they just started like singing and making stuff on top of it.
That's inspiration.
Yeah, we found out we have a bunch of like,
Mutual, yeah.
yeah, we have mutual like.
Yeah, yeah.
Similar
Yeah,
music
yeah.
tastes. So we decided to go like indie rockish.
Yeah, we're gonna put
Kind of.
genre.
And it mixes up with, like, for example, Ron plays a trumpet, and Priscilla plays the piano.
Jazz.
Yeah, so we
Incorporated.
incorporated all of that, the ukulele, all that stuff, because it all is a part of us. It is super cool because it's our song. I don't know. Yeah, it was really, and then also it's called Immortals, and it has to do with like the future and stuff. So it has to do with the flow of time.
Why don't you read them the lyrics like if it were a poem? They're pretty powerful.
Okay. Rolling through the centuries, the music flows between. Falling down and getting up, evolving endlessly. Connecting thoughts and feelings of all humanity. You never know where it came from or where it's gonna be.
That's the verse.
And then our chorus is, because the future is in our hands. We don't know where it will land. Make me immortal, so I'm not written in the sand. I've got a feeling. We think of tomorrow as a finish line, but really we're dancing till the end of time. Ahead of you there is a long diverging line. Eventually you'll find your way, let love be your guide.
And then this works.
Then it's chorus.
Good.
So imagine that message over an indie rock 3-chord, you know, but that message, right? Yeah.
Gotta have that.
And then what really happened, which was awesome, was they wanted to have a break, and it breaks into like a swing. And Priscilla does like some really beautiful jazz chords.
And he plays the trumpet.
He plays the trumpet. Yeah, the music sound like Miles Davis because we had been talking about that. So it evolved into this like really beautiful thing organically.
Yeah, and it's super beautiful because it's all like music that we love. Like I love rock, like punk, and like everybody else. So it's indie. We all love indie and jazz and stuff, and it all connects us together, and it's so cool. And we all ended up loving it, which is really great to
Yeah.
make something that you actually like.
Truly collaborative. Very
Yeah.
collaborative, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
So today we would love your ears, ideas, and help just sort of recording that and making that come to life.
I think they set everything up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Set up.
Jellybean, I'm not a drummer, but when I heard the song, I heard the rhythm in my head and I just tapped it out just so that they could get their idea out.
Just so you know, that's kind of how every song, at least most of the time in the studio, this is where I started and this is where it went. You know, it's, if you can, and you should not be self-conscious because, you know, we walk into the studio in many situations where it's like, you know, they're humming it to you.
Yeah.
And then this part goes, really?
The best way I can say it is do you speak drum?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I got that. I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
But you know, you should have a roughed in tempo.
Mhm.
You should have a roughed in arrangement. If we're gonna try to be, are we on creative clock or are we on like? Because in Nashville and places where they're just really cranking out music,
Yeah.
there's a 10, a 2, and a 6.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
when the sessions start, and they get as much done as they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I learned how to record. Because these guys are just, they got songs
Especially,
ready to
you know,
go.
And they crank out records every
Crank
all
out
the-
records in
all
a
the time.
day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the basics. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, if you're going to try to take one song from 0 to hero, it's a long process and you're switching gears. Now we're thinking in terms of, okay, we got basics, now we're moving on to overdubs. Or if you just do a bunch of basics, the next day is all overdubs on the same
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
Just remember there's more than one process, depending upon what you're trying to get done. Because this music business has money tied to it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, you guys know what an oxymoron is? Music business is an oxymoron. It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, music is an art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to put those two words together, you've really got to be creative in thinking. It's like, I'm going to try to do something I love, and then I can let go of it. But if I'm going to try to do it for a living, then I can't let go of the productivity, the end results, and its marketability, you know? And when you start thinking like that, if you're wearing all the hats, the least creative moment is when I'm thinking about how marketable it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't, it's like,
Yeah, yeah. You don't know.
You have no idea.
You have no idea. You just cut.
So sometimes you just go, this is me, and I'm gonna create this, and I'm done, I'm happy. Somebody will go, wow, but then again, don't attach yourself to somebody else's.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
cause that'll kill you.
Yeah.
Man, the first few times, wanna hear my song?
Yeah.
What do you think? Oh, no,
Yeah.
don't ask me what I think.
Oh, man, yeah.
So do you guys wanna get up and maybe play it?
Yeah, why don't you play it? So that
Joey
they
can
can get a
just
feel.
sit behind the drums and Jellybean can plug in and
Oh, yeah, just on mic, because.
they'll teach it to you.
Okay, well,
Maybe.
Natalie, we're just getting a reference, so
Okay.
you don't want to.
Well, I'm going the vocals be recorded then.
Yeah, you're just gonna basically, when you do it live in the room, you're just gonna sing it lightly, because we don't really want it to bleed into the mics, and then you'll sing it separately.
Now let me say this before you guys start, right?
Okay.
There was a point that they said that was very valuable and is very needed as musicians, as artists, as creatives. They all liked it. That's rare. Like, they all loved it. That's like, you always got that one person that just wants to be like, it's all right. I think it could be better, but for all of them to love it, that is cracking the atmosphere, and that's very rare. So when you find that, keep that. That's special.
That is
They
special.
have something that a lot of people wish. You good.
Where's Alex? Aren't you playing these?
I wanna sing by myself.
She'll sing too.
I'll sing, but not to the mic. We can still hear you. Okay.
Alright.
So Willie, you gonna drum?
No. I want him to hear it.
He can hear it empty, without it, and then you'll be able to know.
He'll know what it means.
Oh, you don't have a.
I have one here, Willie.
One right here.
Oh.
No. Yes. No, no.
Okay, fine.
Stop on the fence.
I like your outfit. It's very blue.
Oh my nose.
She said she likes your outfit. It's very blue.
Polka dots.
Alright.
It's close
Are
to
you
there.
gonna sing an instrument?
Yeah.
Where's our bass player?
She forgot her
Pete,
chords.
where's Pete?
Oh, Pete? I don't know. We should get Tiana to
Amari, you can play bass, but I don't think you heard the song before yet.
Isn't Tiana
So listen, because I do want you to play bass.
Pete?
Okay.
Pete usually is the one that plays. He's an actual
We'll get now.
Yeah.
Tap it.
Okay.
You
You
guys
guys
are-
You can just start. Okay.
Oh, wait.
There you go.
There you go.
More try.
Okay, so the first thing a guy like me comes in and goes, okay, I'm hearing doom, 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 but I can't get locked into that in my mind because you might be hearing doom, 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 or you might be hearing doom, 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 doom,
I would took the first one though.
No, I know, but I mean, you know, because how many times you've gone down, no, that's not what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
exactly.
So all of the above, because it's kind of a two beat kind of a thing, and then the jazz thing goes into a swing.
Melvin Jones, Art Blakey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I guess what we need help with is tying those two things together. Because they work when they work, but you just need to help them building that bridge.
So there, yeah. So if you stop, you've got very little time to come right back in. So it's like drummers are kind of like really key in moments like that where they set stuff up.
They set it up.
If I set it up, you give me like that far, I go. That's where you and I come in together. I would set something up with the beats 3 and 4. You know, 1, 2, 3,
You sang played it, and I was like, yeah, that's
the
it.
tempo, I want to make sure I got it right. I felt that it was nice and slow. And then the resolve is like a retard. I mean, some of these musical terms I'm not sure, but like the retard where it slows down slightly and comes to a landing, and then the restart as far as like, you know, you give it a count, or I go da 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 would be the same thing. So in a recording, hearing somebody count to 4, maybe you don't need that. Maybe a drummer sets that up. Maybe that's it. You know what I mean? So I'll just go back there. You guys. Now, here's the deal: in a live or a studio situation, if somebody has the ability to direct, you know what I mean, and the signs, like in a situation like this, where it's, you know, we're coming to the end, or it's like, okay, going to the bridge, you can go like this. What's the other one like that?
I think that's the bridge. Usually, I do. That.
Yeah, it's like a bridge. You're making a bridge out of your finger.
Right.
So, you know, these are things that you can't communicate. Okay, we're going to the bridge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's microphones going on.
Bridge.
Yeah. So things like that.
To the top.
Your hands are slightly busy. You know what I mean? You would be a natural. You guys would be natural conductors of the kind of situation. You know what I mean? And if there is a guitar neck works great. A head works great if you're too busy. You know what I mean? So you can, with your hands, a lot of times I'll watch piano or I'll watch a guitar neck. I mean, this doesn't come, yeah, you know what I mean? You can conduct that way. Horn players do it like this, that kind of thing. So, you know, bass players, drummers, you know, are just like with their arms on the cymbals or whatever. So if you have to look back, a lot of times it's good to have somebody up front. Because then we're all looking at the hands. Let me see what I got.
Then when you guys are singing, you talk to the mic.
Yeah, sorry.
Get right on it. Eat that mic.
It's not loud. Let me turn it up a little bit.
I can sing loud. I was singing quiet when I was doing the 10th grade.
You gotta compete with the chorus.
Right?
You guys,
It's actually really quiet.
the chorus is on the phone.
doing and how loud is everybody else? And do I need to be really, really just hitting this real hard? I've got ways to change the way I sound, okay? And a drummer's perspective, thinking like a producer, you guys, the guy who plays sticks, if I play it on sticks, it sounds like this. I can play with this. It's something. Or I can actually do it like this. A lot of different notes possibilities. You guys really like the hi-hat? So now we're producing a record. You just made an adjustment on the production with saying stay on the hi-hat. I like it. I'm fine. You know what I mean? Now every little, if you can tell me what you want, that's great. If I start thinking for you and I'm going in the wrong direction, bring me back. You know? Now the jazz thing, we go into a jazz session. Make sure you stay really, really honest with your time, because I might be throwing some goodies in there. And if you try to reinvent what you're doing, like what I'm doing, we're gonna fall over. So jazz is about, somebody's gotta be.
Hey, Bishop, from a tech point of view, how far are they ahead for recording this?
Oh, we almost done. We just gotta, we're getting, make sure he can hear cause the bass player and the guitar player are gonna have to be in there.
Gotcha.
So we're just making sure the drummer's gonna have headphones and be able to hear the click.
Gotcha, so he can stay on
Yeah.
Get better and better and better. It won't throw you for a loop.
Hey, let me get a picture.
You like that tempo? You like that tempo?
They're not using it.
You just play or?
Well, that's the beginning.
Also, we got a number on it. Put a measurement on it. So for all you guys who want to stay up here and
Listen up, y'all. Listen up.
Okay, so you guys, just so you know, when you guys did when you just played the part, my job is kind of to be able to know the tempo. Now the engineer's gonna be dying to know that because he's gonna set up.
I put it at 100. What you got?
too.
So what I've got here is I've got the tempo, and the engineer's gonna be really wanting to know what that is, so we can set up his session. Luckily for you guys, you got Pro Tools, and you can set it up in grid, and you can add a verse later. It's the greatest thing in the world. Pro Tools is your friend. It's just lovely. So he's gonna wanna know this tempo. She played, I tapped it out, now we got a tempo, right? Now, those are the building blocks of this set.
We can always slow it down, it's a minor adjustment.
I'm trying to think of which band was saying that. Because she's leading, right? The guitar is leading.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I think she should come in here and play it.
Now, the one thing I always consider when we're doing tempos, if the guys can play it, great, everybody can play it, but are the lyrics written for that tempo? Because sometimes you'll have this, oh, it feels better faster, and then the singer's going, I mean, yeah, you can't even understand what they're saying.
Yeah, they're gonna be doing that in there.
So basically what we just found out, guitar and vocals are gonna go in that room and record it one time through. So then you just basically play with it, you play with it, you play with it, right? So that way there's at least a bed.
Yeah, foundation.
Huh?
So when you bring her inside, she's gonna record a version, you're gonna have headphones on, and you're gonna play the bass and everything. Yeah, the mic goes like, that's why you have to zip flowing on that. Let's get ready to transition into the other room. Then we're gonna get Joey.
I saw AC/DC open
Really?
Yeah, they are kind of no thing. I like posted pictures of them.
I really like their hats.
Alright, I think
I was okay for it.
I got
Black
it,
too.
but I was
Yeah. I could find the pictures before this class is over tomorrow, so maybe we can hook them up.
So you're gonna be able to hear everything.
Can we get that right here?
I'm on the other side. You know the big
So you use these. Okay, so if you want to set it up to where you're hearing things in a different channel, you turn it up and down. Right now, you're hearing things like
And you're like, how does it go?
So you got drums, guitar, bass.
actually, you're hearing that from your mic. Because he's not into the system like that. So,
You can give me a send of everything that's independent, then I can make my own mix.
yep, I got you. So, who's gonna be playing the bass? Well, you really have to be Okay, so you do it first. Just so, so we're gonna need you to engineer.
You mind if I make a couple of tweaks?
Oh, listen, go ahead. You're the governor, not me. I don't know shit really about that.
Always polite to ask.
You're probably gonna make it better anyway, so
Can't think what I'm trying to, think about it for a second.
Bro, you just need to, you guys just need to listen, because you're creating a sound bed. And you're gonna play along.
Talk about Adrian.
You're gonna create 2 sessions to do the jazz thing?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Not even the same person.
Bring them later.
That's why you're here. I don't know, you know, so.
If you do, you could do it, what ends up happening is,
Just cut it.